Hey guys, today I will be making another 2024 presidential election prediction, this time between Kamala Harris, who would be the vice president, and Donald Trump, of course, the former president of the United States. And the reason why I'm doing this is because right now, this is the most likely 2024 presidential election matchup. This is if Kamala Harris, of course, representing the Democratic Party, Donald Trump, the GOP. And if you were to go on the betting odds, as you can see, Donald Trump at 20 cents per share right there. If you look at the history here, Donald Trump has actually increased in the last couple of days. Nikki Haley was actually ahead for quite a bit after Joe Biden's inauguration. However, now Donald Trump right now is the front runner for the Republican Party if he were to run, and I will go over Nikki Haley in the future. I think it's almost 100% that she does run in 2024. Of course, that's why she resigned as ambassador to the UN for Donald Trump in 2018. She spoke at the GOP convention in 2020, so it's not like something happened between the two. Nikki Haley almost definitely going to run in 2024. Of course, former governor of South Carolina as well. And then for the Democratic Party, you have Kamala Harris, who has a 37-cent share to Joe Biden 34. Buttigieg, AOC, and Elizabeth Warren follow, and you also have Bernie and Clinton as well. I doubt these bottom three are going to run. Warren, I think she has the highest chance of running. AOC will see, but I think that these top three will almost definitely run. I do think that Joe Biden right now, it's a pretty high possibility that unless his health is really failing, that he's going to run for a second term. But of course, he is pretty old and a lot of things can happen. So right now, the front runner for the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris. As you can see, it's been pretty consistent throughout this whole time between Harris, Biden, and Buttigieg. So before we get started, make sure you join Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. I also have channel memberships for just 99 cents a month. So taking a look at this electoral map, I'm going to start off by going over the solid states for Kamala Harris first. Of course, same as Joe Biden, honestly, I don't see that big of a difference between Biden and Harris's solid states. These blue states, the New England states here at the very top, and then the West Coast and Illinois and Hawaii. These states really aren't going to change in the near future. If you look at, how it has changed, you can see these states. It was likely for Clinton in Oregon. I mean, Clinton was not that strong of a candidate. You go back to Obama, Washington and Oregon, pretty close to 15% margins. You go back another 4 years, Obama 2008, all these states were solid for Barack Obama. Even the state of New Mexico, which really was pretty surprising. Even Kerry carried all these states by relatively strong margins. But if you go back further, it's not as solid. But these states right now, these New England states here and the West Coast, all very solid for the Democratic Party. And for this map, I would actually include the state of Colorado as a solid Democratic state. I do think that if Trump would have run again, Kamala Harris would be able to carry the state of Colorado as a solid state. Just looking at the electoral history here, Colorado 13.5% margin for Joe Biden, bigger than New Mexico at 10.8%. If you look at the margin for Hillary Clinton, it was just 4.9% for Hillary Clinton. For Barack Obama, 5.4%. Obama in 2008, 9%. I do think that in 2024, Colorado will probably be solid for the Democratic Party, and I would give that to Kamala Harris. Now for the solid states for Donald Trump, you would have Idaho, Wyoming, Utah. I'm not going to give Montana, Kansas, or Missouri as a solid state for Trump right now. I just think that he did get quite a bit more unpopular with the Republican Party after the riots at the Capitol, and I don't think he'll be as strong of a candidate as he was in 2016 or 2020 when he does run in 2024. But I do think that Nebraska, almost all of it, is still going to be solid. First district might be a little bit likely, but I would say it's still pretty much solid. The South, it's all going to be solid. It's not going to be close. The margin might be a little bit closer. Mississippi 16.5% in 2020. Go back 4 years, 17.8%. So Trump did do a little bit worse from 2016 to 2020 here in the South, but still very solid margins for Donald Trump. Anyways, it's going to stay solid red. Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and finally Indiana. Indiana was a solid state for Donald Trump, 16%. I think he'll probably be able to hold on to that there, as the Rust Belt is generally moving to the right in terms of just demographics. The candidates, Joe Biden running against Donald Trump did change that in 2020, but in the future, it's going to be shifting more and more to the right, while the Sun Belt does shift, slightly more and more to the left every single election cycle. So I do now want to go over the popularity of both candidates. So Kamala Harris has consistently throughout, everything, been less popular than Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the most popular major political official right now. I'll go over his favorability in just a moment here, but Kamala Harris's favorability rating, 46.5%, unfavorable 40.2%. That's a net 6.3% favorability rating. She has only crossed 50% in one poll since she assumed the office of vice president. For Donald Trump, he is no longer the president. We haven't seen that much of an increase for Donald Trump. He's now at negative 18%, at around 38% favorable, 56% unfavorable. That's basically the trend that he was at his most unpopular right before he left office. So things have not improved that much for Donald Trump. And then compare Kamala Harris to Joe Biden, 6.3% favorable for Kamala Harris. For Joe Biden, 17.1%. Joe Biden is just so much more popular than Kamala Harris, and that's just been a trend throughout, the entire 2020 presidential election cycle. A lot of people just don't like her, and that will be a problem for her, but again, she's running against Donald Trump, and she is less popular than Joe Biden is popular, so Donald Trump is not, I don't think he would be that great of a candidate in 2024. So here you have these solid Republican states, 92 electoral votes. Kamala Harris, 190 electoral votes. So now taking a look at the likely states for Donald Trump, I would include Montana, Kansas, Missouri. I would also include the state of South Carolina. I think that would be a likely state. And so the state of Alaska. I think Alaska would probably get even closer. In 2020, it was a margin of 10%. 2016, it was 14.9%, I believe. If it'll show up, 14.7%. Sorry about that. You go back 2012, 14% for Mitt Romney. Before that, 21.5% for John McCain. So this state is gradually going to the left, but I think that in 2024, Donald Trump would be able to hold on to a likely victory there in the state of Alaska. So finally, two more likely states for Donald Trump. I would say the states of Iowa and Ohio. Honestly, Donald Trump in the Rust Belt, especially in Iowa and Ohio, really not that much in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania as much. But Donald Trump in the Rust Belt, he has some pretty big appeal. Iowa, Ohio, he destroyed these states in 2016. If you look at the margin just in 2012, they were both Obama states. Iowa, 5.8% for Obama, 3% in Ohio. If you go to just 2016, plus 8.1% for Ohio, 9.4% in Iowa. Donald Trump changed these two states, and these states, I think, will continue to be likely states for Donald Trump. In 2020, you saw the polls be so close. Joe Biden was leading almost basically until 1 week before the election in both Iowa and Ohio, but really on election night, Trump destroyed Biden in both of these states. He never had a chance in these states. And in 2024, it'd be foolish to think that Kamala Harris would do any better than Joe Biden in these states of Iowa and Ohio. So now moving on to the likely Harris states, I would put the state of New Mexico there in the likely column, as well as the state of Virginia. I think that she would do pretty well, and the Maine at-large vote. I think that if you look at the trends there in New Mexico, it was around 10%, a little bit over that for Joe Biden in New Mexico. For the state of Virginia, it was a little bit over 10% as well. So I think that Kamala Harris will probably win around 7-8% margins here. Definitely not as good as Joe Biden, but he probably will. But she probably will still win these states with likely margins. Now moving on to some lean states for Kamala Harris. And before we go into that, actually, I want to go over Maine and Nebraska. So the 2nd district of Nebraska, I would say, would be lean for Kamala Harris. This was likely for Joe Biden. And then the 2nd district of Maine, I would say, again, another likely for Donald Trump, just like it was for him in 2020 and 2016. All right, and then so now we just have, these battleground states that we have to call here. So I would start off with probably Minnesota. I think this is going to be a lean state, and New Hampshire. I think that Donald Trump will perform better in these two states than he did in 2016, just because I think that Kamala Harris is a weaker candidate, but I think that she would be able to hold on to these states here. So Minnesota and the state of New Hampshire. And if you were to look here, 1.5% for Clinton in Minnesota, but 2020, 7% for Biden in Minnesota. And then as for the state of New Hampshire, 7.3% margin for Joe Biden there. So definitely Kamala Harris, she's not going to win this state by over 7%. That simply is not going to happen. You know, New Hampshire really isn't that solid of a Democratic state. Of course, I mean, it was really solid for Barack Obama and Joe Biden both. I mean, in 2008, New Hampshire, 9.6%. So if you really go back, the state really isn't that popular for the Democrats. I mean, Bush even won this state just 20 years ago. So it has been close, but really, if the Democratic candidate is good here, they do win by a lot. As you saw, Jeanne Shaheen won her Senate seat here by a margin of over 15%. But in 2024, it really depends on who the Republicans are running there. So New Hampshire is it's a swing state, but one candidate, if they're a really good candidate, they can have a really big edge there. Kamala Harris, I think that she'd still win, but definitely not by the Biden margin that we saw in 2020. So now another Biden state from 2020, Nevada. This was a lean state. I would say likely for 2024, 6 electoral votes. I think that, Harris as a Democrat, I think she would still probably win this state in 2024. But as for some lean states for Donald Trump, I would really only have one, and that would be the state of Florida. I think Florida would be a lean state. Donald Trump has shown that he does do good in Florida. 2016 at 1.2%, 2020 3.3%, while in 2012 it was just 0.88% for Barack Obama. So the state of Florida, although it would still be a swing state, still be contested by the Harris campaign. The state of Florida at this point is a lot more Republican than it is Democrat. Just in general, you have 2 Republican senators, a Republican governor in Ron DeSantis. So the state of Florida, I would say that's a Republican state. That huge elderly population and those Cubans moving away from the Democratic Party. If you look at the county of Miami-Dade, it was just an 8 or 7% margin, 7.3% margin for Joe Biden in Miami-Dade County. That is the largest county. I mean, that was terrible. Hillary Clinton won over 60%, almost 70% of the vote there in 2016, and she still lost. So Florida, I would say, is just gone for the Democrats at this point. They're still going to try, but they're not going to succeed there in the state of Florida. Following that, I would have to go to the Rust Belt probably. So I would give the state of Michigan, I would give that to Kamala Harris. I think that she would probably still hold on to the state of Michigan. And Pennsylvania, I think that is still a little bit more blue. I think that these 2 states can be held by the Democratic Party in 2024. And Pennsylvania, I'm going to go and give that to Kamala Harris as well. I think that Trump could carry Wisconsin in this order: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, then Michigan. But I think that right now, with the unpopularity of Donald Trump, in the Rust Belt as well, I think that these 3 states would probably go to Kamala Harris, and yes, that would put her over 270 electoral votes. So moving on from this, I would want to give Donald Trump the state of Texas as a tilt state. I think that it could be a lean state. I think it could be 2 to 4%. But I think that no matter what, I think Donald Trump is probably going to do even worse in the state of Texas. You saw in 2020, 5.5%. If you go back 2016, 9%. Go back 2012, I mean, it was a solid state. So this state under Donald Trump has gone 10% more Democratic since Donald Trump took office in 2016. So the state of Texas is not that strong for the Republican Party as it once was. I mean, Ted Cruz almost lost this state against Beto O'Rourke. So I think that the state of Texas, it might really just be a tilt state. I could see it being lean, definitely. But right now, I would have to give it a tilt classification for Donald Trump. Donald Trump also, I would give him the state of Georgia. I think Georgia would also be a tilt Republican state. I just think that Joe Biden, which is a very good candidate in the state of Georgia, I mean, with Stacey Abrams and what they've been doing, I don't think that if Biden won this state by just 0.24% in a state like Georgia, I don't think Kamala Harris can do that much better. So the state of Georgia, I would honestly say, is a tilt Trump state. We have 2 more states. The state of North Carolina, I would say, is actually tilt for Kamala Harris. I think that she would do pretty well there. You saw in 2020, 1.3%, 2016, 3.7%, 2012, 2%. this state has been on the verge of flipping, and I think in 2024 it will probably flip in 4 years. So that would give Kamala Harris 290 electoral votes. And then finally, in the state of Arizona, this is a Sunbelt state that has been moving to the left pretty rapidly over the last couple of years. So finally, Arizona, I would say, is a tilt Democratic state in favor of Kamala Harris. You saw, of course, it was a Biden state. Before that, it was a Trump state in 2016. Go back another 4 years, 9.1% in Arizona. So this is my final 2024 presidential election prediction between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Of course, we're still pretty far away, but right now, these are the two most likely candidates for both parties. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. Consider getting a channel membership for just 99 cents a month. Click on that blue join button. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Like this video down below if you enjoyed it. Comment down below which states you would change, who you think would win, and any comments you have on my prediction. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.